Hi guys, welcome back to Authentic Talks 2.0. I'm your host, Shanta Generally. On today's episode, this is definitely one you don't want to miss. My guest opens up about a life-changing accident that left her with a traumatic brain injury and the journey of rebuilding her life physically, emotionally, and spiritually. She takes us inside her story of pain, resilience, faith, and ultimately grace. We'll also talk about her powerful new book, Shattered into Grace, and how she's using her story to help others heal and to find hope. Before we dive in with introducing today's guest, I do want to take a moment to extend an open invitation for each of you to come back again and again. And if you have not had an opportunity to subscribe to the podcast, please hit that subscribe button. That way you won't miss an episode once I upload a show. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and dive on in. Please welcome the author of Shattered into Grace, Nicole Gibson, to Authentic Talks. Authentic Talks is all about authentic conversations. This show is all about growth, love, respect, success, mind, body, and spirit. If you're looking to grow and become your authentic self, then this is the podcast for you. And I am your host, Shanta. Welcome to the show. Hi, Nicole. Welcome to the show. Welcome.
Hey, Shanta. Thank you for having me.
I'm super excited to have you. I feel like your story is one that it touched me when as I was reading about it, and I'm really happy that you're here and able to share your story and that you're able to articulate this and had put it into a book form and made it available. So we'll talk about all of the good stuff. Before we dive in, can I have you to introduce yourself to our listeners, please?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Nicole. I am an engineer by trade. Most of my career has been in supply chain. I'm also a mother, a yogi, and a woman of God, and also most recently an author. And I'm excited to share more about my book, Shattered into Grace.
Congratulations on your book, Shattered into Grace. The name, it's like very catchy and it just makes me want to ask you so much more. And so can we dive on in with sharing your story?
Yeah, definitely. So probably about 2 years ago, I was sitting and really processing my journey of like how I got to where I got to. And really, I believe what led me even to that was I decided to get baptized. And after I got baptized, and I was baptized as a baby. So it wasn't my first time being baptized, but after I really built my relationship with God on my own, I realized it was time. I was meant to give really truly show that I gave my life over to Christ. So I decided to get baptized as an adult. And after I did that, I really reflected on, wow, everything that I went through to get here. And possibly I can help somebody else reflect on their journey and their trauma to really heal them, maybe not heal themselves, but also just be able to really process what they went through to live a more fulfilling life.
I love that. So you help others now with in a coaching type of fashion, or do you do is it like through workshops or?
So that's my goal. Really publishing Shattered into Grace was my first step into my now goal is to then start coaching and really helping other women through a variety of different workshops. So that definitely is to come. Yes.
I love it. I love workshops. I think that they're super cool and they do help a lot of people. And so congratulations again on the book. Can I ask you so Shattered into Grace, I looked at the cover of the book and it's a photo of you and there's a mirror that literally is like shattered. Like it's cracked a little bit. And so can you tell me like how Shattered into Grace, what is the story behind the title of the book?
Yeah. So, when I was in college, I just turned 20. I was walking to class, or no, I was actually walking to deliver a project. And a car drove up on the sidewalk and hit me and my friend from behind, going 30 miles an hour.
On
And
foot?
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And so I had 7 fractures to my skull, resulting in a severe traumatic brain injury. So that shatter really, that's really where the shattered piece comes from, is literally, I literally had to rebuild myself at 20, while I was in the midst of getting my engineering degree. And but also right after that accident, I formed a huge anger with God. Why would he put me through this? Why would he make me have to really heal from something like this when I finally felt like I was headed in the right direction of acceptance and self-worth and really just being happy within myself. So I had to re-find that. But in my book, I really go into how I tried and attempted to refine that all on my own, but I really wasn't successful until I decided to really include God in my journey, in my path. And so that's where I eventually found myself within grace. And even grace, I believe in my title, can be used in two contexts. One, I found myself in grace to finally heal, but also he gave me so much grace through that journey. I was when I went and did all these things that really wasn't helping me heal, but he still ensured I was covered through it all.
When you say that you were doing it on your own, can you share a little bit more in context of what do you mean by on your own? Like going through physical therapy without like or
Yeah, so when I say doing it on my own is now for an example, for now, if I decide that, oh, maybe I need a new career decision, or even in the relationship I have now, before I even started dating my boyfriend, I really prayed a lot on it, and it resulted in me. And now I believe being in a successful, healthy 3-year relationship. When in the past, when I've sought relationships and even romantic relationships and friendships on my own, they end up really mentally and physically damaging to myself. So that's one example. And then even career wise, when I've included God in my decision making for what job I want to take, or even an action within work that I feel I'm meant to take, I feel it brings me a lot more confidence in what I'm doing. And also I feel I'm led through the process to accomplish that so much more successfully.
Oh, I love that share. I know exactly what you're saying. I remember when I live in Arizona currently, and when I lived in California, I remember one day joking and saying, when they were saying that they needed someone to come here to open up a site, I was like, "Oh yeah, I wouldn't mind going to Arizona." I seen that movie. It was some movie that was out with Waiting to Exhale. I go, "Oh, yeah, I've seen that movie and it looked really pretty." And then they're like, "Oh, don't even think about it." But then, like, I remember that night throughout the week, it kept coming back up for me, like, in the back of my mind, like, Arizona,
Right.
Arizona. And then I remember saying, "I need to pray about this." And then I literally, like, had a conversation with God, and I was like, "Give me a sign." I was like one of those people that would be like, "I need a sign. I need to know it's from you." And then I
Mhm.
knew because it was such a comforting feeling that came over me,
Right.
and it was like, without a shadow of a doubt, I was like, I'm going to Arizona, and I didn't even know yet if I was really gonna do it, and I ended up going to Arizona, but so, yeah, I can totally relate to that. When you say that, like, you when you were on your own, what did you grow up, like, being a although you were baptized as a baby, did you have, a consistent relationship with God, like, where you were a religious person per se, like, in church every Sunday and having community fellowship and all of those things?
So I would definitely say my relationship with God has always been very casual, but before now. So growing up, my parents started taking me and my brother to church. Probably even though I was baptized when I was a baby, but we didn't go start going to church until I was probably in elementary school. And then even then we would go to church on Sunday and then maybe say the occasional prayer before meals every once in a while, but not anything consistent and not anything regular. It was a very, very, very just casual relationship. So I always said, like, I always knew I believed in God. I always knew I was a Christian, but I wouldn't say I truly walked in my faith like I do today.
Got it. So just not, like, practicing on a consistent basis. So then
Right.
when you had the auto accident, What was the relationship like at that in the beginning months? Like you mentioned that you felt like you were like on your own. And what did that look like? Was it like, did you have conversations with God at that point? Or was it just like he would, God was like not existing at all in the scenario?
So the interesting thing is I went to Marquette University. So Marquette is a Jesuit university. So actually, even the year before the accident, I took my first theology course. So growing up in a household with a very casual relationship with God, I never really studied the Bible or opened to the Bible on my own. I only knew the Bible verses as they were shared in church and details like that. So then when I went to the theology class, I was like, oh, this will be good. I know I believe in God. So I'm excited to learn more about this thing that I say I believe in. Right. But then when I got to the theology course, I was like, oh, I really don't know what being a Christian is like. And but then sitting in this classroom with all these other kids that grew up going like because most of the kids grew up Catholic because and so sitting in this classroom with all these other kids that had been in all these religious classes and like know the Bible front to back. And I just felt, wow, like maybe I don't know anything. And well, the Bible, and I told myself, well, the Bible was written by a man. So maybe this isn't even the God I believe in. So even before the accident, I was going through this what do I like? I knew I believe in God, but what do I? It's still like balancing and struggling with that relationship in
Questions.
itself. Yeah. Yeah. So then when the accident happened, then it was like, why, why is God doing this to me? Like this good, gracious God that I grew up believing I knew. Maybe it's not the God that I know anymore. So I think that's what made it even harder after the accident to find my relationship with him again.
How many years would you say that it took you as you were going through your healing from the accident, like that you felt that you were functioning like at as yourself, close to like, like because I read that like you had some potential memory loss and like it was a traumatic brain injury that had happened and and then there was some questions there, like confident issues and things like that. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, yeah. So it really took I would say 6 to 7 years for me to really feel like I could even mentally process everything the way that I did and even start emotionally being more confident and happy in who I was. And I think that mental recovery took me so much longer than even the physical recovery, which I think sometimes people don't always realize traumatic brain injuries that the emotional impact of them is so severe. So I still was able to graduate within my 4 years. I was still able to graduate with my engineering degree, which again, like I said, like God continued to keep me covered and was able to ensure that I was able to accomplish everything I was meant to accomplish. But I still had a lot of migraines, just really physical pain. And also I just struggled and I ended up I was lucky to be able to get an extension on all my tests and get accommodations so that I could graduate with my degree, but I still had that physical pain. And I really even had that probably 2 years after my accident or 2 years after I graduated still. But then once it was like one day I woke up and I didn't have any physical pain anymore. And I was able to just focus on work and succeed. And it was great. But the emotional pain, that really would say that took until almost I was probably until like 2 years ago for me to truly heal from. And in the book, I go into how that impacted my relationships. I ended up in a really toxic relationship, which really negatively impacted me. Yeah, so I think that answered the question.
Yeah, wow. Whatever happened with the guy or the person who had hit you on the sidewalk? Did anything happen with that person or did they just disappear?
And so he was an older man, older gentleman, and when they did go to arrest him, they found that he was suffering with dementia, so he was physically incapable to hold up in court.
So you ended up like at some point you were able to graduate and like get into, did you move into your career path of what you went to school for?
Yeah, yeah, I did. Well, a little bit different. So I actually graduated with a biomechanical engineering degree, but I kind of went more into the mechanical route and did more supply chain, which I also explain a lot of that in my book as well. So anybody interested in STEM, I kind of go over my career a little bit in my book as well.
Nice. Well, congratulations. I'm happy that like you are able to be here and to share your story and was able to write a book about your story. So you have to tell us for the woman out there, there's somebody or somebodies that's tuning into the show who may not have had that exact experience, but they're going through something that is traumatic and they feel frustrated. They feel like they want to give up. Don't know which way to turn. And what is it that you would say to them in this moment? Like the person who's barely hanging on after you yourself was able to see that life can actually get back to a place where, you're able to show up and show out.
Yeah, I would say don't give up, which I know sounds just so mainstream. And I know, and I understand for that woman sitting in that seat right now where you feel like you're just meant to give up and everybody is always repeatedly telling you like, don't give up. It always gets better. And you just do not see the light at the end of the tunnel. But I promise you that it is there. And maybe it'll even help to look at, oh, like a positive relationship you have, or even the roof over your head, or even just the littlest piece of positivity to help get you through to the next day. Like remember, it is there. But I understand that it's hard to see, but just any little crumb, reach for it and remember that you are worthy and it will all work out.
What were you holding on to like before you got baptized again? What was it that kept you going? Was it your family? Did you have like a really good support system at the time?
Yeah, my mom is my best friend. My mom has truly is amazing, but I would also say besides my mom, I have my two best friends are just they've been with me since the accident and they're very, very, very God-fearing women. Like they have always really practiced what they preached and always pushed me to improve my relationship with God. And even when I continued to throw it all away and they would text me their messages that they like thought was good and I would ignore them, but they just continued to stay by my side. And that I think in itself is what continued to keep me going. That these people that even though I continued to show them that I really was not was not, I guess, there or equivalent to what they were, they just continued to be there for me.
When you say throw it all away, what does that mean?
I would say the relationship that I chose in my 20s were like really it was a relationship that I didn't need to be in. It was a relationship that really could have cost me my career.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And what was it that helped you to get out of that relationship? Did you just
Uh,
say like I'm done?
so it was the relationship was weird because I felt the whole time I was in it, it was like I was trying to prove that it will work out for some reason. And truly one day I got home and I realized I cannot do all of this anymore because it was a mix of my job wasn't going well, but then that relationship was a mess and I just felt alone. And I also, like I said, I had my best friends there that continued to tell me, like, you need to pray on it. You need to do this. You need to do that. And I literally just got home and I realized like I can't do this on my own anymore. And I got down on my knees and prayed.
Oh, wow. And then in what way did you hear from God? Was it like, how they say everybody has a knowing and it comes from like either you feel it in your gut
Mhm.
or like, have you heard, or they go, oh, I felt it in my heart, or there's something like, so there's different places where it comes from like that intuition, or that knowing,
Mhm.
or the word from God, when yours came to you, what was that like? Did it come like with this feeling like where you felt super strong, or was it just like, you know?
Yeah. So I'll definitely I'll feel it in my gut, and then when I go and do something that I feel that I'm meant to do, I'll feel these like tingles in my arms, and that's how I really truly believe that I'm on the right path. And it's worked out so far. So that's yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff. So, did you have to go to physical therapy and all of those different things like that, or were you fortunate?
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. After the accident, I was in physical, occupational, and speech therapy for almost 6 or 7 months. When I woke up from the accident, keep in mind everything from the day before the accident to Thanksgiving. The accident happened November 12th, 2012. So everything before it, the day before the accident to Thanksgiving, that a couple weeks later, I have no memory of. And I still can't remember it. But I do know that when I woke up, and well, based on what my mom has told me, because I don't remember it personally, but when I woke up, I didn't even recognize her.
Wow.
I really had no memory of anything and could barely remember who I was. And so the doctors literally told my parents the day they were like, well, there's nothing else we can do for her. You just have to hope that things start to come back.
Oh, you got a
So
testimony. That's one of those, but God, you know what I
mhm,
mean? Like, that is
yes.
definitely like, wow, that is like amazing. And for anyone who's listening to the show, I know that like I got chill bumps when you said that because when you put it into context of exactly how I don't exactly how much damage or how serious the injury truly was, when you put it into context in that way, it's like you automatically know that it was nothing but God. Yeah, definitely. Because so many people, sometimes people don't wake up for though through
Thank
after an injury like that, and you are able to, heal from it, and although it took some time, I love the fact that you didn't give up. And even when things were hard, you kept getting back up.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
that's super inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you.
How long did it take you to write the book?
2 years, I would say about 2 years.
Mhm.
And I really just started just kind of, I felt the pull to share my story. So I just started kind of writing. And then I was like, I know I want this to be successful. So I got a book coach and we really went through and pretty much rewrote the whole book.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful I did because I've gotten really good feedback so far. And I think the thing that makes me truly feel that it I did exactly what I was meant to do is that people are telling me that as they're reading my book, they're just all automatically reflecting on their own story
Mhm.
and thinking about how they can grow in their own faith. And I haven't even told them that that was the goal. So for them to already see that and to be able to do that, it's empowering me.
Yeah. It is so interesting. It's like, I'm glad that you're sharing your story because just the little bit that you shared here, it's like it makes you it's just really powerful. You know what I
Thank you.
mean? It's just like a very powerful story. And what happened with the other young lady that was with you that also was hit by a car as well?
So it's interesting because my friend, she's like about 5 feet tall. So I'm 5'8". So we're a huge height difference. But of course the engineer in me thinks it's so interesting how the impact. So she actually just ended up with a fracture in her, well, just it's still a severe injury, but she ended up with a fracture in her fibula. And then both of her knees had needed to be completely reconstructed, but her skull and everything was fine. But I wouldn't want to be in her shoes at all because she can remember walking into my hospital room and seeing me unconscious and my head smashed in and
Ooh.
seeing your friend like that, like I wouldn't want it for the world. So while her injuries only impacted her lower body, she had a lot more mental and emotional things to get past through the accident as well.
Are you guys still in touch to this day?
Yes, we are. We're actually still very, very close. And she just had a baby a few weeks ago, which is amazing because I had just had my daughter 3 months ago. So we're like, "Ah, we're
Wow.
going to be able to raise our kids together." And yeah, it's nice.
Wow, that's really awesome. It would be so hard not to be in gratitude for life, like on a regular basis. It's like when there's nothing that it feels like that there could be gratitude for, it always could fall back to like, I am grateful to be here, you know?
Right.
Like, yeah, I
Right.
love that. So your daughter is like about 3 months old now.
Yes.
Wow, now that is a blessing.
It really is. Yeah, she is amazing. And I know everybody says it about their kids, but
Yeah,
I'm
no,
grateful. So
yeah, definitely. I love it. I love it. So going back to so you ended up going through like about 6 or 7 years of like sort of like a traumatic, not sort of, it was basically a roller coaster of traumatic experience. And then tell us what happened. What prompted you to just get up one day and go, I'm going to get baptized?
yeah, so I would say well, exactly what happened was I was at church and the thing came up on the screen that they were having a baptism next like in a few weeks. And I saw it on the screen. I just felt the pull. I was like, yeah, it's time.
Yeah.
So I wish it was something else that I could say, oh, this got me here. But I mean, there were so many different events that got me even to that seat in church because for a long time I didn't even want to physically go to a church at all. And I really go into that in my book as well as everything, what got me in that seat, which I don't know. I don't want to give away too much of the book, but it really, I guess what got me to the baptism was that pull when I was sitting in church that day.
Yeah. Oh, you can never give away too much. It just makes people want to read it even more.
That's true.
Yeah, because there's nothing like holding the book. There's been so many times that like you can hear a story, but then like for me, I'm a legit like book lover, like
Okay.
legit to the core. When my husband and I were dating, like for most people, like going to a bookstore would probably be like a boring date, but not to our listeners because they're a lot like me
No.
of books.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like he's like, "What do you want to do?" I'm like, "Can we go to Borders?" And then he's like, "Yeah." He was just
Oh,
excited.
that's awesome.
I was. They've closed that one down now, but they have Barnes and Noble and other bookstores now. But we actually went there and we sat there for like at least 3.5 hours, and I we were neither one of us was we were not bored. You know what I mean? And so
That's awesome.
we sat there and talked about a book that was a movie, but we read the book anyway because there's nothing like reading the words. Like people can
Yes.
articulate that, but words it's just so different. It's like it feels
Right.
intense, you know?
And I feel the books that they turn into movies, the books are always better.
Yeah, they are definitely. You're like, I guess it would take probably it would be like a 4 or 5 hour movie, putting
Right.
everything in with such like details and things like that, you know? So yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. So, what is it that so you're sharing your story because you want other people to know that like there is hope and not to give up and that what did you so you always knew that God was real, but then your relationship just grew even more with and now you're a woman of faith,
Yes.
a
Yes.
practicing woman of
Very correct.
You mentioned that like you were in a bad relationship and then now you're in one that is healthy for you. You prayed about this relationship and you know that this is the right one for you.
Mhm.
And that's
Yes.
good. That's good stuff. Good stuff. I love it. So what are some of the struggles, if any, that you have in current day right now?
I think the one thing right now that everybody is kind of struggling with is basic finances, like money and the ebbs and flows of the economy right now. And so that's one struggle. And that's one that I definitely am praying on. I wouldn't say it's a struggle, more just determining, okay, what is next for me after this book launch? Well, and then the biggest one for me right now is I'm still on maternity leave, but when I go back to work, how am I taking care of this child? That's a big one. That's a big one.
Yeah, that's
Um,
always tough when you have a new baby. It's like you love them so much and you're like, they better be holding my baby, whoever, you know what I mean? Like changing
right.
Like, they're not going to love the baby in the same capacity that you do, but you hope that they form some kind of love. They got to love babies. I went through that where when I had went back, I was stressed out for a little while. And I would just be like driving to work. I'd be like, God, please. It's like you're just
Yeah,
constantly in communication and talking throughout the day. And then it worked out. Of
good.
course it
Good.
always does. And yeah, with your book coming out, I love that like you're on maternity leave and you get to also navigate this book and like you have to go through people asking you the maybe not the same questions, but you're talking about the book to the point where it's like you'll never get tired of it. You
No,
just
I do love talking about my book. I'm very, very excited about what is to come and who it will impact.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I feel like when you mention about the economy and everything, I feel like a book like this can speak to someone regardless of what situation that they are in because it is about hope and it's about like not giving up. And that includes like if there's someone who's struggling financially, like don't give up. If you are looking for a job, keep looking for a job. If you are whatever that situation is, if you're in a relationship that you want to get out of, there's still hope. The message in the book underlining is about like hope, perseverance. I think of things like resilient. Just so many words come to mind and it's just like I don't know, it's like touching.
One thing that I do, which I kind of I glossed over, is I also touch on grief a little bit. And so, especially when you are in the mix of building your relationship with God, or like you feel that you're finally on the good path, and then something happens, like grief or someone close to you dies. How do you recover from that kind of misstep, I guess? Or it wouldn't be a misstep, but that kind of stumble on your way to building your relationship. So I also touch on that in my book as well.
Did that happen while you were in the beginning stages of like your own rehabilitation process of getting through physical therapy and all of that, or had you already gone through all of that process already?
I had already gone through all that. It actually happened. So after I got out of the toxic relationship and I really started building my relationship with God and rebuilding my self confidence and taking that kind of year, I found myself in a really, really great relationship. He unfortunately, it unfortunately doesn't work out the way that I hoped it will. It hoped it would, which
Mm.
I go into in the book. And so really didn't know how to recover from that. Is it like, how do I rebuild this relationship with God? How do I keep this relationship with God, even though I'm like, why did this happen to me? I was putting in all the work and I thought that things were going to be good and then they weren't.
Oh, yeah. At some point, did you blame God? Like, where you were like, I want nothing to do with, because I've heard stories where when some people, you've heard about mothers, whenever they experience grief, sometimes they completely turn their back, like where they feel like they're done and with God and then they eventually sometimes come back around, but it takes them a minute, like where they're rebellious almost.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I wouldn't say I completely turned my back on him. I still knew he existed. I still would like every once in a while attend virtual church and every once in a while read a Bible passage, but I definitely was going off and doing my own thing, kind of like a rebellious chuck. And it didn't work out very well for me.
Oh, yeah, I understand. Did you experience like they talk about like the 5 stages of grief? Would you say that you experienced like literally those 5 stages, or would you say that it could possibly be different for some people?
I think it could possibly be different for some people. I don't know. I would like because I one thing I found in my grief period is you can experience the same stage again. So I don't feel the 5 stages, I guess, go in order. I think they definitely jumble around and it's completely normal to feel something that you felt last week, but you supposedly went a step ahead because I was just in an emotional roller coaster for the full like a year after my
Oh.
experience.
Wow, so you have been through some things like where you literally could help someone and like be a support system to coach them through it. And
That's my goal.
yeah, I love it. And this book sounds like it's one where it could definitely give someone hope. It's called
Shattered into grace.
Shattered into Grace. I love
I
the
don't
name.
know if it'll show. I've got
Yeah, I could see it. Yeah. When I seen the cover, I was like, wow, like it with the mirror, it's like dramatic. It reminds me of I seen this movie before and that's how they had it. It was like where this guy had hit his head on a windshield or something and it was like that and just seeing it on the screen, I was like, I gotta watch this. I gotta watch it and see what's going on. But
yes,
I'm so glad that that you're here and that you're able to share your story and that although you've had to experience like a traumatic experience to get on the others to get here to be able to share your story, sometimes it seems like sometimes the way that things turn out in life at times is like it's like God will use you to help other people because I've heard people say things like they say just keep praying about it, pray about it, pray about it. And then some people are looking for a specific way, a certain word from God, and they're looking for it to come through a certain a particular format. Like they're like might be waiting for their pastor or their preacher or someone to like tap them and say like, "Hey, this is go this way," or "This is how it's supposed to be." And I feel like God uses everyone, like, to you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And I don't mean he's using you in a sense of, like, using you all up. I mean, using you to be like a vessel to be able to
yes,
yeah, in that way. And I could totally see you having a women's circle and like all the things where people are coming through because it sounds like your grief can even also be in the form of like after the auto accident. That is a form of grief, a live grief where, you know,
yeah.
yeah. And so I could
I
see,
get it because
yeah,
even I mourned who I was prior to the accident, and yeah, so it was in essence a form of grief, and that's sometimes people ask me, "Well, how did it take you to get back to who you were?" Like, I will never be the person I was prior to the accident.
yeah, yeah. Wow. Congratulations on your daughter
Thank you.
and on the book. What is it that is there anything that we did not talk about that you want to talk about?
I honestly, I feel we really we covered everything, all the key aspects of my book, the growth, the recovery from the trauma, the emotional damage and things that you have to go through, bad relationships, grief. I think we touched on the primary things.
Yeah, and you sound good. That's why I was like, speech? You had to go to speech therapy? Like, I'm like, wow, like, and you look
Thank you. Thank you.
and so yeah, I mean, I feel proud of you.
Thank you.
For
Thank you.
writing a book is not like it's not like running a bath of water, or like it takes work and dedication and you have to actually be just like going to college, that's not like for everyone, because not everybody can consistently show up, and writing a book is like where you gotta keep showing up, you gotta read the stuff, you gotta tell your story, and you have to be
Right.
comfortable with telling that story. And so, because like once it's on paper, it's like in the book, like it's forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No turning back. And
Uh-huh.
honestly, because this week is launch week, so uh, and then I'm getting pictures of people receiving their book, and I'm like, wow, like my whole story is out there. Like, was this the right thing? Like, God,
Oh
please
yeah.
just guide me.
Oh, he's guiding you. He guided you when you to write that book. I feel like it was definitely divine and like this is exciting launch week. That is so awesome. And then it is the right thing to do because or was the right thing to do because like trust me, you're going to end up helping so many people. So many people. And the help what I was saying is that it doesn't always come in the form that some people might be thinking that they need to get it. It reminds me of that story. Do you remember that story about this man who was, or this person who needed help, and they were like, "God, please come save me, save me." And then there was like a boat that came by, and that person, someone said, "Hey, do you need help?" And they were like, "No, no, I'm waiting for God."
Yes.
That helicopter
Yes.
came by. It's like all these different ways showed up, and they were not able to recognize that was God sending the message through through several different people to help you. And so,
Right.
anyone tuning in now, who is listening, and you're in a a place in your life right now where you feel like you're waiting and you've been waiting and waiting, God sends people in various forms, and it can be that your message could be in the form of a book, and this book is available now at on all platforms, like where books are sold. It's available for on Amazon as well. And so I would say that books honestly do, and I know I say this all the time, they do make the absolute perfect gift, and I love holding the book in my hand. Although I know your book is available probably like in a form of an ebook as well, right?
Yep. Yes, it is. But like you said, I need to hold the book.
Yeah.
I, yes, I'm a huge paperback hardcover girl.
I love doing both.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
Well, that's good stuff. What is it that you want to leave our listeners with?
I really want to just leave probably just saying that just remember that you are worthy and don't let any incident, any trauma make you think otherwise.
Right on. I love it. I love it. I enjoyed talking with you, Nicole, and I wish you so much success. And I know your book will do well. And anytime you're wanting to come back on the show, we have an open invitation for you. And so
Love it.
thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And again, the book is called
Shattered into grace.
Shattered into Grace. All right. You guys have got to get the book, order your copies, get your copy now, and then get a couple extra copies for family members and friends. Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate you. And
Yes, thank you, Shante.
thank you. Thank you. Wow, what a powerful conversation. Nicole's story is such a testimony of resilience, healing, and faith. If you'd like to connect with her and grab a copy of her book, Shattered into Grace, all of the information is available in the show notes. Remember, no matter what you're going through, there is always hope. You are never alone on your journey. You guys, if today's episode inspired you, don't forget to share it with a friend, subscribe, and leave a review. Until next time, continue to walk in your authentic truth. And thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm Shante with Authentic Talks 2.0.